Force will be with you, always.
So, let's go through the honorable mentions. Let me take a quick water break, because I need to stay hydrated. I want to get through these. Okay. Alright. So let's go to honorable mentions of my personal favorite film scores. Excuse me. And then we'll get to my official top 10 rankings. So for honorable mentions, and I love these scores series, and these did not make my top 10. So, and they have some old ones and some recent ones on here. So I have Punch Drunk Love, music by Jon Brion. Have The Dark Knight, music by Hans Zimmer and James Newton Howard. Got The Social Network by Trent Reznor, Atticus Ross. Blade Runner by Vangelis. Spirit Stein the Cimarron by Hans Zimmer. The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly by Ennio Morricone. Nope by Michael Abels. Babylon by Justin Hurwitz. Batman by Danny Elfman. Heart 8, music by Jon Brion and Michael Penn. Close Encounters of the Third Kind by John Williams. Tenant by Ludwig Göransson. Clockwork Orange, music by Wendy Carlos. Schindler's List, music by John Williams. And Risky Business, music by Tangerine Dream. So I love all those scores dearly, but they did not make my official top 10. So let's get to it. So number 10, my favorite film score, is Spider-Man by Danny Elfman. So I had to put Danny Elfman on my top 10, and I did not know which ones to pick because he did so many great ones. It was a tie between Batman or this. I mean, both iconic, like, superhero scores. But Spider-Man, something about Spider-Man, and came out the year I was born, like the Sam Raimi, Tobey Maguire Spider-Man is just something really special. Like, it helped, like, relaunch the Marvel era of superhero films and comic book movies in general. After, like, breaks from, like, you got Superman in 78 or Batman 89. There wasn't much, like, big blockbuster superhero movies. And then Blade came out and started creating more buzz. And then X-Men came out and that, like, started elevating it more. And then Spider-Man came out in 2002. And that just relaunched the whole superhero comic book genre of film, of cinema that has grown rapidly today, whether you like it or not. And Spider-Man's score for Danny Elfman is so iconic and beautiful and majestic. Like, it just brings the comic book out and onto the cinema. And Danny Elfman's score is honestly amazing and so iconic. Like, when you hear the score, you just picture Spider-Man crawling up buildings and swinging through the city, and it's just so amazing that what he's done with this score. And it's nostalgic, and I'm so happy they brought this score, that Michael Giacchino brought this score back for Spider-Man No Way Home. If you know, you know. If you don't know, minor spoilers, but I'm not gonna get into that. Spider-Man's theme by Danny Elfman score is one of the best and one of my favorites. Moving on, number 9, we got The Lord of the Rings. guess you can count the whole trilogy. Personally, my favorite film is Fellowship of the Ring, because it's just the one that started it all. I mean, I love all the movies, like the staples of cinema. But you know, Howard Shore's score for this is so beautiful. Like, it's like one of those scores that makes you cry. I am dead serious. Like the prologue scene with the story of the One Ring, to the Shire theme, the Fellowship theme, like the beautiful, like, haunting, like, action fantasy music that Howard Shore like depicts within these scenes of the trilogy. It's just so iconic and beautiful, and it's just very majestic, and helps bring out J.R.R. Tolkien's brilliant fantasy epic of literature onto the big screen. And it came out the same time around Spider-Man, so you know, in the 2000s, you know, got like a big, huge blockbuster esque evolution that has begun. And you know, like, the iconic movie music and scores that have come out during that time is quite crazy, and how memorable they are today. Yeah, but Lord of the Rings, iconic. Moving on, number 8, we got Taxi Driver by Bernard Herrmann. Taxi Driver is probably my favorite Martin Scorsese film. I think his best is Goodfellas. I love Goodfellas to death. I probably rewatch Goodfellas more than Taxi Driver, but Taxi Driver is just on another level of greatness, and it's so well done. And Bernard Herrmann's brilliant score, with the saxophone as being the main theme, specifically like Betsy's theme, Sybil Shepherd's character, and how Travis wants to you know, like, find love in his life, but then he's dealing with his personal demons, his drama, his PTSD, that he was a Vietnam vet, and just seeing the world through his eyes in the film. And the brilliant score Bernard Herrmann does just really captures the essence of New York City. And if you like, I think a month ago, I went to do a midnight run before Thanksgiving for my school, and we were in New York City, and it was really great. And I saw a steam coming from one of the sewer drains, and it reminded me of Taxi Driver. And on the ride back home from the bus, I just played the Taxi Driver theme by Bernard Herrmann. And let me tell you, playing that theme while riding in the night in New York City at night is on another fucking level of holy shit. Like, whoa, like, it's a crazy experience that it's something like you can't even describe with words. That's how I describe it. That's what I felt like. And it's just so iconic. And like I said before, it was the last score that Bernard Herrmann did before he passed away, and what a score he ended off his career with. And Taxi Driver, like, the cinematography, the writing, the directing, the brilliant performance by Robert De Niro, and just the perfect anti-hero of Travis, that you feel sorry for him, but you do not agree with his morals, his beliefs, or his choices and stuff. And it just really conflicts and divides the audience, and that's the brilliance of Taxi Driver, and that's why it's one of my favorite Scorsese films. It's just so amazing. Moving on, great score. Moving on, number 7, we got Inception by Hans Zimmer. like I said, Hans Zimmer is one of the best modern composers ever. And his score for Inception is really like beautiful. Like I even learned how to play on piano. Like his score Time was really well done, or like Dream is Collapsing, or Mombasa. Like the amount of like layers of like goosebumps you hear when hearing the score, especially like during the different dream phases in the movie, or the backstory that Leo's character, Leonardo DiCaprio's character, talks about, and the back and forth with the different stages of the dreaming and the heist and the action and the rotating sets and the cinematography, like, and just helps, along with the music, just makes this film like so amazing. I remember seeing this movie in theaters and I didn't know what the fuck was going on, but over time I rewatched it and I understood it, and it's just so well done. I mean, I even have the totem from the movie right there, and it actually spins. So I thought that was cool to make sure this is not a dream I'm living in. And just even to the last frame of the shot where Leo's character, I forgot his name, I am sorry, but Leo's character comes home and finally get reunited with his kids. And then you got the top spinning and they got the score settling in. It's just, and then it just cuts to black before the top topples over, and then see the title and you're like with the guitar. It's just so brilliant and so well done. But yeah, and by the way, I know a lot of people say the ending, was it a dream or was it real? But Nolan confirmed that any scene with Michael Caine's character in that film took place in reality, and Michael Caine was there at the end. So it kind of so basically confirmed that the ending of the film, where you're married with its kids, actually takes place in real life, in reality, but the camera just cut before the top toppled over to make people think, oh my god, was it a dream or was it real? So I thought that was pretty cool. But yeah, Inception, brilliant score, goosebumps all around. Number 6, we got Raiders of the Lost Ark. First Indiana Jones movie. I mean, all of Indiana Jones's score that John Williams has done is iconic. You know, you got like Temple of Doom, like the March of the Children, and the India theme, Short Rounds theme, and you know, Last Crusade has made great music, like the father and son theme, the Grail scene with the knight. Like Indiana Jones has one, or even the opening chase scene with young Indy that Family Guy hysterically parodied in one episode. But but the first Raiders movie is like the score, the action adventure score, like da 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 da. It's just so iconic. You just put on any fedora and people just hum that music. Even on the AFI, American Film Institute award ceremony for John Williams, when Harrison Ford came out to say nice things about John Williams and the music Indiana Jones theme was playing, Harrison Ford's like, the music follows me everywhere. So hysterical and hilarious and funny, because it's like one of those scores that's like driven by the character. Like when you think of the character, you think of the theme. And the Raiders, like, you got the Dawn Room opening arc theme, you got the basket chase, the basket game score, the desert chase the Marion's theme, like it's just a beautiful, beautiful score that John Williams has composed, working with, you know, longtime creators with Steven Spielberg and George Lucas, who did, you know, Close Encounters and Jaws and Star Wars before that, and just making an adventure epic taking place in the 30s of, you know, archaeology, Nazi fighting, whip cracking, gun shooting, fedora wearing, badass, on such a great adventure piece of cinema, especially in the 80s. Like, that score is just so iconic and one of the best, in my opinion. Moving on. Number 5, we got Back to the Future. As I said before, Back to the Future is my favorite movie of all time, and Alan Silvestri's score is iconic, in my opinion. Like, it's so well done. Like, Back to the Future is a perfect movie, in my opinion. It is a cinema masterpiece. It deserves to be like one of the great. I think it's one of the greatest movies of all time. It's up there with Citizen Kane and Godfather and 12 Angry Men, wherever you want on that list, in your opinion. I feel like Back to the Future should be on there. And you know, this time travel, sci-fi, comedy, action, romance, coming of age, multi-genre layer of a film, and just have this brilliant score Alan Silvestri does to give this cool aspect of adventure and excitement and sci-fi and futuristic liveliness, if that's a word. And the movie's so great, you know. Michael J. Fox and Christopher Lloyd, God bless them. Their chemistry and characters, Marty McFly and Doc Brown, are so iconic. And just the score, even the score, that little score with when the DeLorean comes out, or the score like that. I even have that like when Doc wakes up, when Marty thinks he got shot, but he's actually alive and well. From the terrorists, because he got the bulletproof vest. I'm not gonna go into the movie that much. Like that little like doodle doodle, and it's played throughout the trilogy. I actually had that that little like twinkle, whatever you want to call it. I have that as my ringtone. Ironically, I used to have "Whip It" by Devo as my ringtone, but I changed it to that. But yeah, Back to the Future is a really amazing film. Like it's it's just very like goosebumps and adventure drawn and sci-fi, like da, 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 like you know, like DeLorean go back in time. It's just so iconic. So yeah, moving on. I'm blanked out for a minute. Moving on, we got number 4. We got Star Wars by John Williams. I know, why is this not in my top 3 or number 1? I had to make some hard choices. Again, this list was not easy. But Star Wars, I would have to say, arguably, is probably the most recognizable, iconic, greatest film score in cinema history by John Williams. I mean, like, you can't get more iconic with the opening crawl from Episode 4, New Hope, the first one that came out in 77, and they're like, dun, 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 with that beautiful main title march fanfare that John Williams did. And again, George Lucas said that, you know, Star Wars is not really he doesn't see it as sci-fi. He sees it as a fantasy opera, and it kind of is, but it's still sci-fi. And the amazing score, not just for the movie or the trilogy, but the entire saga. I mean, like, you got, you know, like, beautiful, like, Princess Leia's theme, the Force theme, the throne room. You got the Imperial March, Yoda's theme, the asteroid field, Han and Leia's love theme, Luke and Leia's theme, the Emperor theme, the Jabba's palace's sail barge scene. Or we got the Duel of the Fates, Across the Stars, Battle of the Heroes, Rey's theme. Like, so many iconic themes and scores that John Williams has done for this franchise all has made it so iconic and lovable and connected with the audience and its characters and fans. And again, recently, you know, like, the Star Wars fan base and fan community has been really toxic with all the sequels and Disney running it. Like, I'm not gonna get into all of that, all right? I mean, it just, I don't have time for that. I'm here to love and appreciate Star Wars, not to, like, say, like, oh, shit, you ruined the characters, I don't get it, the lineage is the real parents. Like, I don't have time for that shit. I'm just here to watch movies and enjoy myself and listen to the beautiful score that John Williams has done. And that's what he's did. He made something beautiful. Like, John Williams is probably like the Beethoven of freaking film, of the film score genre. I mean, like, everything about Star Wars, like, it's so iconic. Like, when you hear the music, you just think of Star Wars. Like, even if you haven't seen Star Wars, you'll know what Star Wars is once you hear those few notes of the opening march, or Darth Vader's theme, or Yoda's theme. Like, whatever theme you hear, it just really connects with Star Wars. And that's something that a lot of film scores have, like, it done. They'll really connect with people who listen to it, who appreciate it, and make memories and experiences of seeing those movies with that music. And that's something amazing that John Williams has done with Star Wars. And that's why it's one of the greatest. Moving on, number 3, we got Magnolia by Jon Brion. So as I previously mentioned, Jon Brion, I feel like, is one of the most underrated film scores ever, and Magnolia, like, if you know who I am and see my Instagram and all the film stuff I posted, you know I would not shut the fuck up about Magnolia. I don't give a fuck what people say about the criticisms. I think Magnolia is one of the greatest films ever made. Like, Paul Thomas Anderson, I'm gonna get shit for saying this, but most people agree with me. I think, like, Paul Thomas Anderson is gonna be the next Kubrick. I mean, that's a very debatable opinion, but from all his work that he's done, I mean, it's just, like, all his films are, like, really something, like, that stand out. And Magnolia, you know, coming off fresh of Boogie Nights, you know, he wanted to make something big, epic, multiple stories, different plot lines, different multiple ensemble, great characters and performances and cinematography, excuse me, and, you know, brilliant music. and just like the different themes of, you know, the biblical themes and aspects of, like, you know, reconciliation and redemption and forgiveness and coincidences and chance. Like, Magnolia is a really deep film. Like, when I first saw it, I would not shut the fuck up for 30 minutes straight. Like, it blew my mind for a film I have never, like, I want to see, but like, it was just amazing. Like, the whole singing Amy Mann to the Raining of Frogs and the brilliant performances by Tom Cruise. It's just a really emotional roller coaster of a film, and it's probably my favorite film of 1999. And 1999 had a lot of great films that year. I'll probably do a video on like my favorite years of film, and 99 will definitely be in the at least in the top 3 for me. But the music of Magnolia, like, like I said, like, I would not shut up on Magnolia. Like, I mentioned Magnolia and like so much stuff. Like, people are probably sick of it, but again, I would die on a hill saying that Magnolia is one of the greatest movies ever. And if you fight me on it, I understand the criticisms and like the long runtime and the different stories and the drawn out characters. Like, I get it, but I love it and I don't care. I love it for what it is, and it's like one of the greatest pieces of cinema I have seen. And the score for that movie is beautiful. Like, Jon Brion's, like, his, like, the tempo, like, it has like a Hollywood-esque classic, like, musical-ish way of that score. Like, it feels like something out of a musical, and like the beautiful motifs and themes that he's done with the orchestra, it's just very, very beautiful. And even with the tracking shots and the filmmaking ways and the dolly pans that he does in most of PTA's films, that like, it works really well with the score in this film, in Magnolia. And, you know, it's just really beautiful and touching. And it just like I tried to find the score, and it wasn't available on streaming. The only score it had was like the track Magnolia by Jon Brion that's just on the soundtrack, not the original score album. So I actually went on eBay, and last year for Christmas, I actually got the original soundtrack score CD of Magnolia, and the score is so good. It's so good. And you know, Jon Brion did and worked on PTA's next film, Punch Drunk Love, which I mentioned before, my honorable mentions, which is another great, amazing score. But Magnolia is just on another level that very few had to experience. Like, I just recently watched it a few days ago with my best friend. He liked it. He thought it was so good. And like, he complained that it was long, but again, I agree with that. It is a little too long for a 3-hour movie. But he liked it. He thought it was good, and he loves William H. Macy because he loves Shameless, and William H. Macy is great in this movie. And just the background score, like, it could be uplifting, it could be pacing, it could just be like heart racing, depressing. Like, the music like the movie, it's just roller coaster emotions, and it's really well done. And that's like, again, so that's why I like my number 3 spot. Like, Magnolia is, it deserves more love. Like, it needs more love. And even in the Glass Onion, the Knives Out sequel, you know, there's been a reference to it with Edward Norton dressing like Tom Cruise's character. I'm happy that Magnolia is getting like recognized by like a lot. And Euphoria, the show, like HBO, amazing show that has definitely had a lot of huge inspirations from PTA, especially Magnolia. Even the 4th episode, the Carnival episode, was a major influence from Magnolia. Like, I'm happy Magnolia is like getting getting appreciation, but I feel like it deserves some more than that and stuff. And PTA has made other great films. So Boogie Nights, Punch Drunk Love, There Will Be Blood, which many consider his best film in their opinion, and I agree. There Will Be Blood is great. The Master, Inherent Vice, Phantom Thread, Licorice Pizza, Heart 8. Like, he's done so many great movies, but Magnolia is my favorite film of his and one of the best film scores I ever heard in my life. I'm going to move on because I'm talking too long about this and you guys want to move on. I know. Just bear with me. Moving on, number 2, E.T. The Extra-Terrestrial by John Williams. E.T. has become one of my favorite movies growing up. When I was young, before I appreciate more and more of cinema in general. Like E.T. was said to be my favorite movie of all time. And right now it's my personal number 4 in my top 10 ranking of personal favorites. But E.T.'s score is so beautiful. Like, it's another emotional score. Like, it doesn't sound sci-fi. It just sounds magical and just has these essence of family and friendship, which the movie dealt with really well. And the score is honestly so beautiful. It's really well done and magical. Like, the flying bikes over the moon, and the light up finger, and the resurrecting the plants with the telekinetic powers, and then you got the friendship between E.T. and Elliot, and the bike chase, and the government. Like, the music is just so good and so well done. And it's just one of the film scores I just remember growing up loving and crying over and listening to it. Like, it's so magical. And E.T. is probably one of the greatest films of all time, in my opinion. And I love it to death. It's so good. So yeah, E.T. great. Okay, we have reached it. Number 1, my favorite film score of all time has to be Interstellar by Hans Zimmer. So, I would say at the moment, The Dark Knight is my personal favorite Christopher Nolan film, but I would say Interstellar is his best. And I over time, when I made my top 10 and even my top 100, there's some movies that I'm gonna wait a couple years till I change my listing and move films around, take films out, put films in, move them up, move them down. But and Dark Knight's score, like I'm putting my honorable mention, but Dark Knight's score is really, really well done. But Interstellar, which I would say is kind of like, which took major influences from 2001: Space Odyssey, which its score is good, but it's mostly just soundtrack of classical scores. And I even mentioned on Clockwork Orange, which you can argue that definitely did the same thing, where it took classical songs and symphonies, but adapted into with like a synthesizer score for that and stuff for Clockwork Orange. And that's why I think it's a good film score. But in 2001 is great, but it's more on the soundtrack score side, if that makes sense. But I love them equally. And again, 2001 had a lot of influences for Interstellar, and Interstellar is an amazing film. Like the cinematography, the acting, the editing, the overall special effects. Like, it's a mind-blowing film, and it's so good. And Hans Zimmer's score is so beautiful. Like, it's another, like, all these scores either have like a very magical or emotional effect on me. And Interstellar, like the father and daughter story of traveling through space and time through wormholes, the beautiful organ score Hans Zimmer did for this movie, like the No Time for Caution, or Stay, or Cornfield Chase, or mountains, like so many iconic scores for this film that elevate like the mix of the score and the organ is just so haunting, beautiful. It gave me Philip Glass vibes. Like Philip Glass did like a lot of beautiful like organ-esque piano music for like films like Koyaanisqatsi, Candyman, or The Truman Show. And it kind of had like that essence of that Hans Zimmer did for the score. And just like the math and the brilliant like the notes that he's done with the piano and the organ, combining them to make something magical and beautiful. Interstellar is like one of the best movies ever, and it's one of my favorites, and its film score just resonates with me so much. I think it's one of the best, and a lot of people argue with me that like and Hans Zimmer did say himself recently that Interstellar was his favorite score he's ever composed, and I'm happy he said that because it's so good. I even just played it on piano, and I posted a piano cover on my Instagram, so you guys can check that out, and the link in the bio. And my campsite bio to my social media, go to my Instagram and you can check that out. But yeah, Interstellar, I love it. I could talk more about these film scores and why I love them, but this is why I love them. He got something nostalgic and brilliant as Spider-Man, something beautiful and fantasy action packed as Lord of the Rings, something like mood setting and tone setting of the dark streets of New York with Taxi Driver, to the layers of dreams and goosebumps of Inception, to the action adventure aspect of Raiders, to the time traveling action of Back to the Future, to the brilliant space battle sci-fi-esseness of Star Wars and how iconic that is, to the mood setting, multiple story layering of Magnolia, to the magical fantasy, sci-fi, family-friendly, emotional relationships of E.T., to the brilliant, amazing organ piano aspect of the space travel and time and space of Interstellar. Like, these scores are like incredibly layered and very deep, and I can talk forever, but I'm running out of things to say. And these are my favorite film scores of all time. That's why I love them. And again, I have so many favorites. I even posted on TikTok and on YouTube like my 100 favorite film scores of all time, listing them from chronological order from early as 1959's North by Northwest by Bernard Herrmann, all the way to Nope 2022 by Michael Abels. And I mentioned Babylon in my honorable mentions. Like, Babylon is a very I just saw the movie, crazy fucking movie, but I loved it, and the score was like really, really amazing, and I had to mention Babylon. It's so good. And I might do something Babylon related that I'm working on currently that I'm gonna do in the future. But yeah, this video was way too long, but you know what, I don't care. I need what I needed to say because this is why I love these film scores so much. But yeah, those are my favorite film scores and film composers. And I'm going to continue loving film music. And, you know, I always wanted to, like, have a radio channel where I just play film music and stuff. I mean, that's just a dream of mine. Or maybe, you know, just do, like, just shit. Or maybe make film music on my own. Like, you never know. You never know. But yeah. It's just one of my favorite aspects of film, just the music overall and how beautiful it can be and turn out. But yeah, that's all I have to say. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more film-related content. Follow my social medias on my campsite bio. Let me know what your favorite film score is of all time and why. If I mention any other film scores that you want me to mention, that you think maybe I have heard or never heard of, you can let me know, and I can write in the comments what my opinions on the film scores. But yeah, it just off the top of my head, it's just all I can think about, and this is why I love them. Like, that's just me. That's just me. You take it or leave it. You do whatever you want. But yeah, thank you so much for watching. I'll catch you guys around next time. My birthday's coming up. I'm going to be 21. Holy shit. We'll see how that goes. But yeah, thank you for watching. Have a good one, and good night.